Someone pulled my laundry out early, and what they did next made me snap. If you've ever lived in a dorm, you already know this pain. But trust me, what happened next? You're not ready for it. Hit like, subscribe, and wait till the end. College dorm life teaches you a lot of things. How to survive on instant noodles. How to function on 3 hours of sleep. How to pretend you're listening in lectures when you're mentally somewhere else. But the one thing nobody warns you about? Laundry. Not just doing it, but surviving it. Because dorm laundry rooms, they're not rooms. They're battlefields. At the time, I was living on the 3rd floor of an old dorm building. The kind where the walls were thin enough to hear your neighbor sneeze. And the elevators worked only when they felt like it. The laundry room was in the basement. Of course it was. So every time I had to do laundry, it wasn't just doing laundry. It was a mission. I had a system. A very precise system. Because if you didn't have a system, you were done. Every Sunday evening, around 7:30 p.m., I'd grab my laundry basket. Inside it, clothes sorted perfectly. Detergent measured already. Dryer sheets tucked into the side pocket. And sometimes a small snack, very important. Because you don't just drop your clothes and leave. No. That's rookie behavior. The washers were always full. Always. So timing was everything. I'd go down early, check the machines, and wait. Sometimes I'd sit on top of a machine like it was my throne. Other times I'd scroll on my phone, pretending I wasn't silently judging everyone around me. Because in dorm laundry rooms there are types of people. There's the "I forgot my laundry for 3 hours" person. Their clothes? Just sitting there, done, cold, abandoned. And you're just standing there like, so, are these yours or public property now? Then there's the overloader. They shove so many clothes into one machine, it looks like it's about to explode. And somehow their clothes still come out half dirty. And then, the worst kind, the "I'll just move your stuff" person. There's one golden rule in dorm laundry life. You don't touch someone else's clothes. You just don't. It's not written anywhere. But everyone knows it. You wait. Even if it's annoying. Even if you're in a rush. You wait. Because the moment you touch someone else's laundry, you've started something. I never gave anyone a reason to touch my clothes. Ever. I set timers. Multiple timers. One on my phone. One backup alarm. Sometimes even a mental countdown. If the dryer said 45 minutes, I'd be there at 43. Standing. Waiting. Ready. And honestly, I was proud of that. Because in a place full of chaos, I had control. It was a normal Sunday. Nothing special. I remember because I had a bag of snack-sized Doritos with me. Don't ask why. It just felt like a Doritos kind of day. I loaded my clothes into the dryer, paid the fee, watched the machine start spinning, and then I left. But not far. Just upstairs. Timer set. Everything under control. That 45-minute wait felt longer than usual. I don't know why. Maybe it was the noise upstairs. Maybe it was the stress of assignment. Or maybe something just felt off. At 40 minutes, I grabbed my basket. At 42 minutes, I was already heading down. Because like I said, I don't take chances. That walk to the basement? I still remember it. The flickering lights. The quiet hum of machines. The slightly damp smell in the air. Everything felt normal. Too normal. And then I walked in. At first, I didn't notice anything. The machines were running. People were doing their own thing. Same as always. But then I looked at my dryer, and something felt wrong. The door was slightly open. My brain didn't process it immediately. Because that doesn't happen. Not when you're still early. Not when your timer hasn't even gone off yet. I walked closer, slowly, and that's when I saw it. My clothes were gone. Not inside the dryer. Not where they were supposed to be. Instead, they were sitting on the table nearby. Dumped, carelessly, like they meant nothing. And at first, I just stood there, confused, processing, trying to understand what I was looking at. But then I noticed something else, something worse, something that made my stomach drop. The table wasn't clean. It wasn't just dusty. It wasn't just messy. It was covered in a sticky, dark puddle. And my clothes, my freshly dried clothes, they were sitting right in it. My clean clothes were sitting in a puddle of soda, and I was about to find out who did it. Wait till you see what happens next. This didn't just stay about laundry. The smell hit me before the anger did. That sharp, sugary, unmistakable smell. Pepsi. It wasn't just a little spill either. The table was soaked, like someone had knocked over an entire drink and just left it there. And my clothes? My shirts, my hoodies, my jeans. They weren't just damp anymore. They were sticky, heavy, clinging to each other like they'd been dipped in syrup. For a few seconds I didn't move. I just stared. Like if I blinked hard enough, maybe it wouldn't be real. Maybe I walked into the wrong laundry room. Maybe. No. This was mine. This was my dryer. My cycle. My time. My money. And someone had decided none of that mattered. The frustration didn't come all at once. It built, layer by layer. First confusion, then disbelief, then irritation, and then that slow, burning anger that starts in your chest and spreads outward. The kind that makes your jaw tighten without you realizing it. The kind that makes everything feel louder. The machines, the footsteps, even your own breathing. I dropped my basket onto the table a little harder than I meant to. It made a wet sound. That alone almost pushed me over the edge. Seriously? I muttered under my breath. Not loud. But not quiet either. I looked around the room. 4 machines running. 2 people folding clothes near the corner. 1 guy scrolling on his phone, leaning against a washer like he'd been there forever. And then, the dryer. The one next to mine. Still running. I didn't know why, but I just knew. That was theirs. Whoever did this, their clothes were still inside. I walked up to it slowly. Not rushing. Not making a scene. But my eyes were locked on that machine. Watching it spin. Round and round. Like nothing was wrong. Like everything was normal. I leaned in slightly. Tried to see through the glass. Just colors. Fabric. Movement. No face. No name. No identity. Just someone's stuff. And for a moment, I considered it. Just opening it. Pulling their clothes out. Dumping them right onto the same sticky table. Let them feel it. Let them deal with it. But I didn't. Not yet. Because I wanted to know who. I turned back toward the room. Scanned again. And then I asked. Not yelling. Not aggressive. Just direct. Hey, does anyone know who's using this dryer? The words hung in the air. For a second, nothing happened. No one answered. No one even looked up. And that made it worse. I took a step forward. Louder this time. Seriously. Whoever moved my clothes. I just want to talk. Now I got reactions. Small ones. The girl folding clothes glanced up for half a second, then looked back down. The guy on his phone shifted his weight. But still, no one spoke. That silence? It wasn't empty. It was heavy, like everyone knew something, but no one wanted to be involved. Finally, the guy on his phone spoke. Without even looking at me. People move stuff all the time, he said casually. Like it was nothing. Like it was normal. I stared at him, trying to process that level of indifference. Yeah, I said slowly, not like this. That got his attention. He looked up, just slightly. What do you mean? I gestured toward the table, toward the mess, toward my clothes. They didn't just move it. They dumped it in soda. Now the room shifted. Not dramatically, but enough. The girl folding clothes paused. The guy actually looked over. And for a second, there was something on his face. Not surprise. Not exactly. More like recognition. And that's when it happened. The dryer beeped. Not mine. There's the one next to me. The cycle finished. The machine stopped. And suddenly, everything felt focused on it. I didn't move. I just stood there, waiting, watching, because whoever it was, they had to come get their clothes. Seconds passed. Then a minute. Then, footstep. From the hallway, a girl walked in, carrying a laundry basket. Casual, relaxed, like she had no idea what she was walking into. She walked straight up to the dryer. My eyes followed her the entire time. She opened it, reached inside, started pulling out clothes, and that's when I saw it. Orange dust. On her hands. At first, I didn't understand. It didn't connect. It didn't make sense. But then, she pulled out a hoodie, and there it was. Bright orange streaks. All over it. She froze. What the? Her voice cut off mid-sentence. She shook the hoodie. More orange powder fell out. What is this? She said louder now. The room went silent again. But this time, different. Because now, it wasn't just me. She started digging through the rest of her clothes. Faster. More frantic. Every single piece. Covered. Orange. Crushed chips stuck to fabric. That same smell. Doritos. She looked around the room. Confused. Angry. Panicking. Who did this? And just like before. Silence. But this time, I wasn't asking the question. She grabbed her phone immediately. Hands shaking slightly. I'm calling the RA, she said, almost to herself. That word alone changed everything. RA. Resident assistant. Authority. Rules. Consequences. Suddenly this wasn't just a petty situation anymore. This was turning into something bigger. She started pacing. Phone to her ear. Hi, yeah, I'm in the basement laundry room. Someone messed with my clothes. Like, ruin them. There's food all over everything. No, I don't know who. Her voice cracked slightly. And I just stood there. Listening. Watching. Because something wasn't adding up. And then, my phone buzzed. I looked down. A message. From an unknown number. You should have just left it alone. My stomach dropped. I read it again. Slowly. Carefully. You should have just left it alone. I looked up immediately. Scanning the room. The girl was still on the phone. The guy was pretending not to care. The other girl was quietly packing her things. No one looked at me. No one reacted. But someone in this room, had my number. And they knew. The realization built. My heart started beating faster. Not from anger anymore. From something else. Something sharper. Colder. This wasn't random. This wasn't just some careless person moving laundry. This was deliberate. The soda, the timing, the silence, the message, all of it, connected. I slowly looked back at the dryer, then at my clothes, then at the girl, still freaking out over hers. And then it hit me. This wasn't just about revenge. It was a setup, a chain reaction, and I had just become part of it. I looked down at my phone again, thumb hovering over the screen, mind racing, because whoever sent that message, they weren't panicking, they weren't confused, they weren't reacting like the rest of us. They were calm, too calm. And in that moment, one thought cut through everything else. Someone in that room had my number, and they were watching me react. Stay till the end, because this is where everything stops making sense. I didn't reply. Not immediately. My thumb hovered over the screen, but something in my gut told me, don't. Because whoever sent that message, they wanted a reaction. They expected one. And suddenly, the laundry room didn't feel like a laundry room anymore. It felt like a stage, and I had just been pushed into the spotlight. Up until that moment, everything made sense. Someone moved my clothes. They were careless, maybe rude, maybe selfish. But now there was intention, planning, awareness. Someone knew exactly what they were doing. And worse, they knew I was here. The room feels different. I looked around again. Same people, same machines, same noise. But it didn't feel the same. Every small movement started to feel suspicious. The guy leaning on the washer? Why was he still there? How long had he been there? The girl folding clothes? She was packing up now. Too quickly. Avoiding eye contact. The girl with the Dorito-covered laundry? Still pacing. Still on the phone. Voice louder now. No, I don't care who did it. This is disgusting, like everything is ruined. Her panic filled the room. But mine? Mine was quieter. Because hers was about clothes. Mine was about something else entirely. The second message. My phone buzzed again. I froze. Slowly. I looked down. Another message. Same number. You're thinking too hard. My chest tightened. That wasn't random. That wasn't a guess. That was specific. They knew. They knew exactly what was going on in my head. I looked up again. This time sharper. More focus. Someone here was watching me. Closely. The investigation starts. I took a step back. Not toward anyone. Just space. I needed to think. Who had my number? That question hit harder than anything else. Because my number wasn't public. I didn't just hand it out. It wasn't posted anywhere. Not on my dorm door. Not in the laundry room. Only a few people had it. Friends. Group chats. Classmates. And suddenly, my brain started connecting dots. Social damage begins. The girl on the phone? She suddenly stopped pacing. What do you mean? She said. Her tone changed. From angry to confused. Then she slowly turned and looked directly at me. My stomach dropped. No, I don't know him like that. He's just here. Yeah, he's standing right next to the machines. Every word hit like a brick. She was describing me. And whoever was on the other end, they were asking about me. Why? The room turns. The guy on the washer? He looked up again. This time longer. The girl packing her clothes? She paused. Looked between me and the other girl. The energy in the room shifted. Subtly. But unmistakably. I wasn't just another person anymore. I was involved. The third message. Buzzed. My heart jumped. I didn't even want to look this time. But I did. They're starting to notice. My fingers went cold. This wasn't just observation anymore. This was control. They weren't just watching. They were guiding it. Reality starts to slip. I took a step back again. Then another. Trying to create distance. From them. From everything. Because something wasn't right. Not just the situation. Not just the messages. The entire environment felt too coordinated. Too perfectly timed. Like events weren't just happening. They were being arranged. Pressure builds. The girl's call ended. But only for a second. She immediately dialed someone else. Hey, yeah, something's going on down here. Like, seriously weird. Someone messed with my laundry, and now I know, listen, there's this guy. Again. Me. I opened my mouth. Ready to say something. To explain. To defend myself. But I stopped. Because what would I even say? I didn't do it? That sounded weak. Defensive. And worse. It sounded exactly like what someone guilty would say. Unexpected consequence. Digital spread. My phone buzzed again. But this time. Different. A notification. From a group chat. I opened it. And my heart dropped. Someone had posted a message. Watch out for the laundry room. Some dude is messing with people's clothes. No name. No proof. But the timing? Perfect. And the worst part? Someone replied. Is it the guy in the gray hoodie? That's what I was wearing. The walls close in. I looked up. Slowly. And suddenly, everyone felt closer. Not physically, but mentally. Eyes lingered longer. Movements slowed. I wasn't invisible anymore. I was being watched. Judged. Defined. The fourth message. Buzz. I almost didn't check it. But I had to. Now you see it. My breathing got heavier. They weren't just predicting things anymore. They were ahead of them. Every step. Every reaction. Plan. The break point. I tried to think logically. Tried to ground myself. Okay. What do I know? Someone moved my clothes. Someone spilled soda. Someone texted me. Someone is spreading rumors. But are those all different people? Or just one? That question, that one question, changed everything. Because if it was one person, then they weren't just messing with me. They were orchestrating everything. The sounds in the room got louder. Too loud. The dryer beep. The footsteps. The voices. All blending together. My thoughts started racing faster than I could control. This isn't normal. This isn't random. This isn't coincidence. This is... My phone buzzed again. I didn't even hesitate this time. I opened it instantly. You're right where I want you. And that's when something inside me shifted. Not anger. Not fear. Something deeper. A realization. A quiet, heavy, undeniable truth. I slowly lifted my head. Looked around the room one more time. At the people. At the machines. At the exits. At everything. And for the first time since this started, I wasn't thinking about revenge. I wasn't thinking about laundry. I wasn't even thinking about defending myself. Because none of that mattered anymore. Only one thing did. The moment I connected the first clue, everything I thought I knew started collapsing. I stopped moving. Right there in the middle of the laundry room. Everything around me kept going. Machines spinning, people walking, voices talking. But my mind had gone completely quiet. Because something finally clicked. Not fully. Not clearly. But enough to make my stomach tighten. The messages, the timing, the soda spill, the moved clothes, the group chat post. None of it felt isolated anymore. It felt structured, like pieces of something I had been dropped into without noticing. And then I remembered something small, something I almost ignored earlier. The early detail. Before I even left my room earlier that day, I had noticed my phone battery was unusually low, like someone had been using it more than I remembered. I dismissed it at the time, but now it felt relevant, because how did someone get my number so easily? Unless they didn't get it at all. Unless they already had access to parts of my digital space. My throat went dry. I looked at the group chat message again. The one that said, "Some dude is messing with people's clothes." And I noticed something I didn't see before. The timing. It was posted minutes after I confronted the room. Not before. Not randomly. That meant someone was watching in real time. Realization starts to form. My eyes slowly drifted toward the guy leaning near the washer. Still there. Still calm. Still not reacting. And suddenly, I noticed something else. He wasn't just standing. He was occasionally looking at his phone. Not often. Not obviously. But every few seconds, like he was checking something. Or someone. And that's when my brain forced another connection. The laundry moment. When I first walked into the laundry room, he was already there. Before me. Before everything. And I remembered something else. He didn't look surprised when I walked in. He looked expected. Like he knew I would arrive at that exact time. My hands tightened slightly. The pattern locks in. Messages. Timing. Behavior. Coordination. This wasn't random harassment. This wasn't even just revenge. This was structured interaction. Like a system. Like a setup designed to guide reactions. And I was the central point of it. For the first time, I stopped thinking about what they did to my clothes, and started thinking about what I did. Or more specifically, what I triggered. Because I reacted. I confronted. I escalated attention. And every action I took seemed to produce a response. Almost instantly. Too instantly. But different. But this time, it wasn't from the unknown number. It was from a saved contact. A name I recognized. Someone from my dorm floor. My pulse spiked. I opened it. "Dude, why are people saying you started something in the laundry room?" My stomach dropped again. So it wasn't just in the room anymore. It was spreading. Outside. Socially. Digitally. Social damage expands. Another notification. Then another. Messages coming in faster now. Some confused. Some concerned. Some accusatory. "What happened? People are talking about you. Are you okay? Did you really mess with someone's stuff?" And the worst one. "Bro, did you actually do it?" That one hit differently. Because it wasn't accusing. It was doubting. And doubt spreads faster than truth. Mental collapse pressure. I looked up again. The laundry room felt different now. Not physically, but socially. Like I had been placed under a spotlight I didn't ask for. Every movement felt interpreted. Every glance felt judged. Every silence felt loaded. And then, I noticed something worse. The girl on the phone was now looking at me differently. Not confused anymore. Not angry. Suspicious. Like she had already been told something. The trap feeling. My mind raced back to the text. "You're thinking too hard." And suddenly I understood something horrifying. They weren't just reacting to me. They were reacting to my thought process. Which meant, they were predicting behavior. Not guessing. Not assuming. Predicting. Small but critical detail. I remembered something else now. Earlier in the room, before everything escalated, I had briefly looked at the exit. Not consciously, just instinctively. But I did it. And now I realized, someone else did too. Right after me. Like they mirrored it. Like they were tracking attention direction. My breathing became shallow. This wasn't chaos. It only looked like chaos. But underneath it, there was structure, feedback, reaction loops, observation, adjustment, like someone was actively testing how I respond. Buzz. This time slower, heavier. I already knew I shouldn't open it, but I did. You always try to figure it out too early. My hand froze on the screen, because that wasn't just a statement. That was correction. Like I was being guided, steered, managed. I slowly lowered my phone. My eyes lifted. The room felt paused. Not literally, but perceptually. Like everything had slowed just enough for me to notice it. The guy near the washer wasn't on his phone anymore. He was looking at me. Directly. No emotion. No panic. No confusion. Just awareness. And in that moment, all the pieces aligned enough for me to understand one terrifying possibility. Not fully, not completely, but enough to make my chest tighten. Enough to make me stop trusting everything I thought I knew. Because suddenly, it didn't feel like I was confronting a situation anymore. It felt like I was already inside something that had started long before I arrived. And I had no idea where it ended. Something was forming. Something coordinated. Something deliberate. And just as I started to realize the shape of it, I saw him move. Slowly. Like he had been waiting for this exact moment. And that's when I understood. I wasn't about to find out the truth. I was about to be shown it. The moment he walked toward me, I realized I was never reacting to chaos. He took one step forward. Slow. Controlled. No rush. No emotion. And suddenly, everything stopped feeling like a random mess, because I saw it. Not in pieces anymore. Not in confusion. But clearly. The guy near the washer finally spoke. Not loudly. Not aggressively. Just calmly. You figured it out late. My stomach dropped. That wasn't a question. That was confirmation. I looked at him. Then at my phone. Then back at him. And I realized something terrifying. He wasn't reacting to what I said. He was reacting to what I understood. Everything came back at once. The soda spill. The moved laundry. The timed messages. The group chat post. The mirroring behavior. The silence in the room. The instant social spread. It wasn't random. It was staged. Not just the incident. The reaction chain. He slowly raised his phone. Turned the screen toward me. And I saw it. A chat log. Multiple people. Multiple timestamps. But one thing stood out. My name wasn't just mentioned. It was the center node. Everything was branching around me. And then he said it. Calm. Simple. You weren't supposed to lose your laundry. You were supposed to lose control. My breath stopped. He continued. We noticed something about you. You always arrive early. You always correct small injustices. You don't let things go. My chest tightened. They weren't guessing. They were profiling. And people like that, he said, react predictably. He nodded slightly toward the laundry room. The soda wasn't random. It was a trigger. My mind raced. The messages weren't harassment. They were timing tests. My hands went cold. We wanted to see how fast you escalate. how fast you involve others, how fast your image changes. And suddenly, the group chat made sense. The social spread, the doubt, the confusion. It wasn't damage control. It was mapping reaction spread. Emotional collapse. I stepped back, slowly, because suddenly, I wasn't a participant in a conflict anymore. I was a subject in an experiment. And worse, I passed every stage exactly how they expected. The real target. He tilted his head slightly. You thought this was about laundry? Pause. It was never about laundry. My throat tightened. It was about you. Silence. The entire room felt distant now, like it wasn't real. He looked at me directly. You created the last step yourself. My mind froze, because I finally understood. The moment I reacted to the soda, the moment I confronted the room, the moment I looked for justice, I completed the pattern they needed. Antagonist superiority reveal. He didn't smile. He didn't need to. We didn't ruin your laundry. We redirected your behavior. And you confirmed everything we needed. My stomach sank, because there was no revenge moment, no confrontation win, no justice reversal, just completion. Silence returns. And then, nothing. No more messages. No buzzing phone. No chaos. No reactions. Just silence. Heavy. Final. Like something had ended without announcing itself. Acceptance moment. I slowly looked around. The girl was gone. The phones were down. The room was normal again. But it didn't feel normal. It felt finished. Like I had walked through something I couldn't undo. Emotional closure. I finally spoke. Quietly. Almost to myself. So, what now? He looked at me. For the first time. No calculation. No testing. No observation. Just neutrality. Now nothing. A pause. This wasn't punishment. It was data. And then he walked away. Just like that. I stood there alone. In the laundry room. Still. Quiet. The machines were still running. Life continued. Like nothing happened. But I knew. Something had changed. Not outside. Inside. Some battles aren't about winning. Some situations aren't about revenge. Some people aren't opponents. They are observers. And sometimes, the moment you think you're fighting back, you're just confirming the pattern they already built. If you made it this far, like the video, comment what you would have done. Subscribe for more true Reddit revenge stories.